American market. The set amount machines feature a brand new excavator end with a thumb grab.
Right, morning, welcome to I think this is going to be a pretty special Guns Contractors video here. I am surrounded by an orchestra of backhoe loaders from all the years. I mean, there's some great machines here. Hopefully we'll get a chance to have a look at these in a bit closer up. But for now, they haven't told me exactly what the day is. I'm getting a feeling what it is. It's a massive milestone. JCB's history, in the backhoe loader for JCB's history. Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty special day, and I am absolutely honoured to have been invited here to even see it, let alone, as I understand it, one of these machines behind me, I'm driving. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Try and keep the sun out of my face, but there is some awesome machines here. There's just quickly, you can't, they're all firing up, warming up, so it's a real orchestra of noise here. But 3C Mark III, beautifully restored. I don't think I've ever seen one with all the glass in it, but there's one here. There's a black cat behind it. Absolutely lovely machine. That's a beautiful digger, that. It's even got the left-hand door still intact. There's some older models. That's the early one, not the very first, but one of the early cuts of the JCB Backhoe. And there is some beautiful, like, mid-2000s classics here. This machine I've seen at the quarry before. That's nice. That is like, that's peak 3CX backhoe there, Perkins engines. And then we move up with the Union Jack machine here. Got a little 1CX, 3CX compact, and then we're getting into some bigger new 4CXs, including, of course, the modern dual drive machines. This is going to be it's going to be a great day, and there is a little 10-year-old boy inside me jumping up and down with excitement, because this is really, really cool. Anyway, let's see how it goes, and I'll film what I can. So it's becoming a little bit more obvious why we're here today, what we're celebrating. A big milestone in backhoe production, and they have really pulled out the stops here. We've got the Mark I. Beautiful machines. I mean, there's one of these up in the VIP. If you ever get to go to the VIP area at JCB and see the story of JCB, that is an awesome little museum just for JCB history. Real nerds like me, but yeah, there's one out here and she's running, ready to go. Also got, this is, as I understand it, and I don't know a lot about these, but this is the Mark II hydrogen model. So they've now mounted the tank on the roof. As I understand, that's to get more runtime. Essentially, the first one had the tank slung down low. I guess is potentially a little bit more vulnerable on sort of site work, but also you can get more room on the roof. So interesting place to put it, but I mean, with the back actor up there, it doesn't really add any more height either. Quite a clever idea. Anyway, there's a really, really good video on hydrogen. Harry's farm and his garage channel, Harry's Garage, both are decent car channels. He has done a really, really good in-depth video and had the opportunity to speak to Lord Bamford and some of the engineers about hydrogen, of which, of course, JCB are really pushing the boundaries with this. Taken the Diesel Max engine, converted it to run on hydrogen, which is no mean feat at all. And this could well be, whether you like it or not, the best way that the future of our machinery can be. So yeah, you've got to take your hat off to them for developing this and rolling with the concept. It's running now on sites as trials. They're running it in various machines. I believe they've got a couple of different machines for different sort of jobs, applications, and yeah, it's really interesting to see how it's coming on, actually, I think. So yeah, millionth backhoe. There's also, of course, something they have told us, that there is a millionth engine somewhere. And I'm starting to wonder whether these two things have come together. JCB, of course, launched the Diesel Max engine back in 2004, and it'll be interesting to see if, you know, 1 million units in that time is an impressive number. The backhoe, of course, been going since the mid-50s, so impressive enough, but that's a lot of engines in a very short time. I wonder if we're going to see that as well today. So this is the Mark I, the major loader, based on a super major tractor. Of course, Mr. Bamford put his loader on the front, and it's relatively crudely mounted to a standard tractor. You could get them with or without the loader. They did do a compressor on the front, and then you had the back actor on the back. Now, this works very similar to that machine I'll show you in a second over there, but no independent stabilizers on this. This lowers itself on this frame. This whole frame comes down as one, but a lot of this arm geometry is crucial really to what was so successful about this design, because there's a lot to like about it. Very, very simple engineering, again, with how the slew works. This ram literally pushes this rack here and it slews the arm, but incredibly easy to maintain. Really, really simple engineering, and very, very smart use of tubes here, you know, tubes there for bracing. It's really clever as to how they thought about that. And of course, at the time, this was the new logo, which has gone on a long way since then. Lovely, lovely example. Another one owned by JCB here. Yeah, lovely. Has even got the ditching bucket, which are great. These had the recessed pins, and the reason for that was that you get a really tight scoop, because it's not going like round something. It literally turns on its own axis, so you can really get the bottom of a ditch out. Lovely with a bucket like that. Quite rare. I don't actually know why they don't do them anymore, because it seems stupid to have teeth on a bucket and this very reduced hitch height, but actually for the job of ditching, that is the ultimate bucket. So I don't know if I could sneak that in my car later on. Shame it's not yellow, actually. It would have been perfect for me, obviously. But yeah, very, very nice example. And you can see, we move on from these machines and I go through this lineup here, how there's a lot of DNA here that transcends through, and they just make these small improvements every time. You know, they were on the money really from day one, and in the 50s when this machine was made, if this turned up, you would be very, very chuffed if all you had was a shovel and somebody turned up one of these. You could do an awful lot of work with one. Load lorries, dig trenches, footings, whatever you need to do. This is the start of the machines really that built the Britain. So this is the early kind of combined concept that JCB came up with. It's not a concept, it was a production machine, but where they integrated the backhoe and the loader onto that major tractor. And it's got the cab. Stabilizer legs on this are fixed and it lifts up and down with this ram here. It's sort of like a 3-point link, but obviously different to that. But there isn't the individual control that you can have to get that machine stable, which of course you could on the later 3C, or the 3 as this is. The 3C was a more powerful version of the 3, but you know, that's why this was their kind of earlier concept. You can see very obviously the way that it slews here, just with a ram. I mean, very, very simple engineering, but incredibly robust. Very, very easy to maintain. And there's a lot to like about this machine, you know, huge rams for digging power. The buckets, good shape on the buckets. You know, there was a lot of thought went into how these work, all the leverage points and how they put them together. Again, you have to get in over the back here to get into it. No heater in there, but of course there's your major tractor underneath, really. Very, very similar. And you can hear the noise, you know, fair play to the lads who used to run these things. They are are a beast in the modern day, but if you were digging with a shovel and one of these turned up, you'd be well chuffed. Fantastic, again, exceptional condition, beautiful thing. This would be late 50s, I'd have thought. Then they came out with the 3 in the early 60s, but beautiful thing. So the thing making all the noise is Jim Balls and Tom Balls is here to drive it, the Mark III. Now this was again a big step up for JCB, coming away from their early design. It's still based on the major tractor underneath, but you know, their own chassis, Hydra chassis on it. The back arm, very, very similar really to what we see today. Obviously a little bit sort of, you know, doesn't have the extender dig and various little bits have changed, but there's a lot about this design, this profile that is still in practice today. These had the rams, the slew pots are on top. Of course they moved those for visibility in the trench down to under here, which, you know, little subtle things. That's the thing with these. They're a bit like the Porsche 911 really. They very slowly moved up in the way that they designed them because there wasn't a lot wrong with it. This one you actually have to get in over the back here. This canopy lifts up and you get in through here because there's no doors. That's why the 3C Mark II, when it came out, was revolutionary, having a door. Yeah, lovely thing. Lovely thing. She's purring away nicely there. That'd go back to work, although it'd be a shame to take the paint off the bucket. Well, this is in the cab of a JCB 3C, which is a revolutionary machine at its time. But if you think, no door, you can't, you have to get in and out the back window. You've got your steering wheel. I mean, it's really agricultural. Clutch, brakes, fiddle brakes, you know, it is a tractor essentially in here. Loader controls up here, but all one lever. You know, there's a lot of DNA in this that's very, very similar. You've got your controls, your temp, it's all there. And there's a lot to like, you know. Visibility's pretty good. Not a huge amount to the bucket, you have to kind of lean over really to see, but it's not too bad. The seat is on a swivel, so the whole arm, and it rotates. So then you can then rotate and slide yourself forward to get to your controls. Now the thing is with these controls is that this is the first time that they had the X pattern, the 2 levers. The machine next to me, the earlier model of the previous model of the Backhoe, you've got 4 control levers on the back there. These are integrated into the cab. You know, you've got hydraulic pipes running around you. You know, the world has come on a bit in terms of safety. I wouldn't want one of these things blowing and splashing me in the leg, but it's mad. This is your air conditioning option. Your heater is the engine, and yeah, I've had a quick play. This is Tom Ball's machine, and we had a quick play with the sticks. It's tight, stiff, but I mean revolutionary really to how, you know, the whole concept was. And you turn up on one of these, you could still be productive on this now. As noisy as it is, you'd need yourself some headphones, but it is a cool machine. It's even got the sliding king post. Now this, you know, you have to undo that manually. There's no Hydra clamps on this, but it's possible, you know, big spanner, jump out, slide her across with the arm like you do on the more modern ones. You just didn't have the hydraulic locking on it. And of course the rams here, or the slew rams, got moved down to the bottom of the king post ultimately for better visibility. You can imagine they're kind of in the way a bit if you're working. But yeah, bucket geometry, all of that, very, very similar now to how it is on a modern machine. Still, even to this day, absolutely game changer at the time this, in the 1960s. You'd have been really chuffed if one of these turned up. So this is the 3C Mark II. Now if you imagine, this looks a lot like the Mark III, and at a glance it would be, but you come from the 3C here, or the 3 as this is, and you compare that to this design, and you can see why they ran it into the Mark III. It's a great design. Big bucket, huge flat edge for being able to see when your bucket's level, flat on the floor, look, it parallel. an concept that's copied really on modern machines this day. It's got a door, you can get in and out of the door. An exceptionally restored machine. I can stop saying that really, all of these machines are exceptionally restored. Move the slew down the bottom for better visibility. The rear window opens. The boom, very, very similar really. You know, all of these linkages, this is exactly the same geometry to how it is today. That bucket would fit a 2025 model, and it fits this machine, which will be probably from the, I think the early 70s these machines came out. I can't remember all of my facts here. I'm a bit overwhelmed with machines, to be honest, but it is a beautiful machine, purring away. You know, you've got a nice seat, hydraulic controls at the back, the X pattern. This is all very, very similar to really how they are today. You know, that this Mark II was probably the biggest jump really in the way that they design backhoes, until maybe the 3CX itself, which was a good 10, nearly 15 years later. So the 3C Mark III, this has got to be one of the machines, and it's so noisy next to these things, that really, I'd say, set the design of the backhoe to how it is today. There's a lot of things about this machine that really are revolutionary. This one actually has the jaw bucket as well, which is a lovely bit of kit. They still make these now. You can buy them, pretty rare, but there's a lot about the 3C Mark III as an improvement. The Mark II was the big step really from the earlier machines. I mean, next to it we've got an early JCB 3, I'll talk about that in a minute, but you know, the 3C, it just changed the game again really. This one's got the extra breaker on the side, again an idea they still run with. Montebert, beautiful. 4-in-1 bucket, flip over forks. I mean, you can see the design between what these forks are and how they became on the 3CX, how it's moved up. But yeah, you'd have been real chuffed with one of these in the late 70s. 1977 I think these came out, and there is plenty of these still on farms. I mean, we used to have one on the farm. All this bottom bit had rotten out sadly and everything, but I tell you what, we also had a black cab, an old Hammermaster, and this thing drove better than the black cab, certainly the back end anyway. It just seemed to be hardier. The poor old black cab had far too much work out of it, bless it. But yeah, lovely example here. Again, another one restored by Julian. It's beautiful. So this is a black cab, known as a black cab 3CX. One of the earlier models, again a turbo, the Perkins turbo engine in. It's got the side panels on. This is a lovely example, absolutely lovely example of a Sightmaster, which of course, revolutionary at the time. You know, you were coming from the 3C, the Mark III here. I mean, fantastic machine, but this thing's another level. 4-in-1 bucket, better design than the previous one. It doesn't have that lip. This is a design they still really run with now. Flip over forks, self-leveling loader arms, which were new at the time on this. The cab was futuristic. Look, it's all glass, and in fact that's the problem. These things so rarely have this left-hand door because they're just very, very easy to break over time. That's a pretty rare bit of glass these days. Extending dipper. It is the 3CX really that we know and love now. Very, very similar. They had the slew boxes down here, and sadly a lot of them, after a lot of hard work, they do suffer a bit from play in these joints here. It's like a slew steering rack almost really that slews it round, but very, very clever design. Modern ones of course run hydraulic rams, which is more powerful and ultimately less slack in it and kind of more reliable, but a very, very, you know, fantastic design. The boom shape is very, very similar to today. You know, ultimately not a lot wrong with it. Don't change it, but that is an exceptionally lovely example. I've not seen a black cab that tidy for a long time. This is the star of the show for me. Absolutely beautifully restored Turbo Plus Sightmaster 3CX. It's on an H. What would that make it? 88, 89 kind of era. Absolutely beautiful. Look at the yellow buckets. Ah, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous machine. And when you see inside it, you imagine how proud you'd be in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s to have one of these. Look, logo on the seat. It is absolutely beautiful. I don't think I've ever been in one of these with all the glass in. And they just feel so, it just looks so right. No saggy headlining. It's got a modern stereo in it. This is gorgeous. I mean, it is missing a cup holder. If I was being super critical, you know, I've always got to review a machine and there is no cup holder, but plenty of space to mount one. This is lovely. This is lovely. I've got to find the lever. Of course, it's around the side, not the kick pedal, to get you facing the back end. Proper sticks. I'm not going to move them because it'll move the hydraulics. This is a long time before they started isolating things like that with the ignition off, but very familiar. The floor is just right for your feet. You've got your extra dig down here. This is a lovely machine. Absolutely lovely. And sadly, I'm not in this one, but I'm envious of the person who is. So now we're getting into what I think the modern classics. And these machines share so much of their DNA with today's machines. There's so many features on them that, you know, in 2002 when this machine was made, you would have been incredibly chuffed to have had one of these. And people say about the grey cabs over there, but I think this could be pinnacle, really. JCB for that. It is. They are fantastic machines. You've got quick hitch on the front, which was an option at the time. You know, these forks have only just been revised really recently by the Backhoe team for the better as well, but having those forks there, you could still have them on top of the bucket, of course, but you know, a lot of that really hasn't changed. And good idea being able to put the sweeper on the front, other hydraulic attachments. They were thinking about that in 2002. Smooth ride on this machine. Absolute game changer for going down the roads. It's all yellow. Look at the yellowness. It is lovely. Yellow mud guards, yellow rams. I have a yellow bucket, but you know, that's me. But this is, the cab design even is very, very similar to the modern machine. We'll have a look in the cab in a second, but this back end is pretty much what we have today. A few little tweaks. Again, it's all just little tweaks with these machines. But this one has power slide, which of course is a new feature at the time. Full spec. In 2002, you couldn't get a much better machine than this. And just look inside her. She is an absolute beauty. I don't know how many hours this thing's done. Sadly, like they all do, the clock has stopped working, but look how much room you've got here. Really well thought out with how they came about with these cabs. Got your two twin sticks here. This one does your 4-in-1. They're right to hand, lovely things to operate, and they're nice and tight as well. There's no play in them. This is the machine that's been sat at the quarry for a long time as a display machine. Yeah, I've got to find the lever. They switched it in these to the other side, so it's a bit confusing. You got your side dash here, which did come in the mid-90s, but you know, they sort of perfected it here. Easy to see whether you're facing the front or the back. You've got excellent all-round visibility, and look at that. There's no play in these sticks. Oh, beautiful. I'm not going to move it about and mess about because it's not my place on this particular machine, but absolutely lovely. Loads of foot room, storage aplenty. That opens up. Look at the cup holder selection. Look, small and big cup holders. I tell you, they were thinking. Even back in the day, they were thinking. It is a lovely, lovely example, and one day I'd love to own one of these as a classic in my own collection. But yeah, I'd have thought this machine probably hasn't depreciated at all since it was new. When you think about this, a lot of people would love to snap one of these up for their collection. It's in exceptional condition, and yeah, lovely. Great to see it here at this celebration of Backhoe production. So you go from 2002 over there to 2010. Now by now, This has the JCB Diesel Max engine in it, of which the iterations are still running through the modern machines, and sounds great. The Perkins are a lovely engine, but I've got to say JCB's own engine has been successful for them, and that's shown in the production numbers. This is a very, very similar machine now to what we see today. The cab is identical really in terms of its chassis, its shape. It's got the doors are the same as my machine, which is only 5 years, I guess newer than this, but very, very familiar. I did change the roof mouldings and, you know, updated them slightly, but it is really, there hasn't been a lot of change in these models now. They did change the inside slightly. It's got the longer stick up here, all in one. You've got your 4-in-1 on the roller on this one. But it is, you know, dashboard's the same, and they are very, very similar. Of course, this one is easy control, so I've got half a chance of driving it properly. But yeah, 2010, lovely machine. Just small updates. It's all have been about small improvements to these machines that have kind of made them what they are today. And as we work our way up the line, you'll see that. Now, not many of you will have seen a 1CX, but these are a little Swiss Army knife. Imagine this. This is peak JCB creativity. Somebody somewhere probably sat with a cup of tea and said, what if we took a backhoe loader and a skid steer and made them have babies, and you would end up with the 1CX. These things are super cute, quite rare in the UK, quite rare. And this one, you can get them with extending dippers. This one doesn't have that. It does have the slide, still got the legs. It literally is mini backhoe, but runs like a skid steer. They are funky inside. If you've ever been inside one, there isn't a lot of legroom. Joystick controls, of course, they changed to skid steer. You know, you can drive it like a skid steer when you're facing the front. When you're facing the back, you've got the backhoe controls. A lot of joysticks going on, but an incredibly cool little machine. And with their low height, the ability to spin on their own axis, they are, in the right applications, incredibly very versatile. You can get high flow front ends to them now for attachments. You can run everything on the back. It's pretty much a 3-ton digger on the back. Imagine that, really, and a skid steer loader at the front. Fantastic little bit of kit, and it's great to see one. Now, this is the 3CX Compact. This machine replaced what was the 2CX, and even back when these machines were out there, they always had a range. There was the 3, the 2, the 4, and that's something that's run since the 60s and still continues to this day. You know, we got a 1CX. This would have been a 2CX 8-9 years ago. They've remodeled it now. It's called a 3CX Compact. I think it's a little bit of a shame the 2CX name was dropped, actually, but it is, I guess, just showing that it's not a lesser machine. It's just literally that compact product. And they've designed this for municipalities and highways. Got your reel on the side, you can fit your breaker here, which, of course, let's not forget, it's a design that harks back to that machine over there. You know, that's when they did it first. So we're not revolutionising anything, we're just making it for the modern day. I like the 3CX Compacts. They're really, really funky machines. 4-wheel steer, they can turn in a carriageway. You can run different attachments on the front. They got loads of light options. Look at the light options here, and they got boom lights, which I'd love to fit to one of my machines. I think it's key, really, to see light down there. Sometimes the lights up here don't quite cover what you need, but yeah, it's got the sliding back end. Yeah, they're a nice machine, and you see these a lot now working on tarmac gangs, out there on highways. They work a lot in churchyards, graveyards, things like that, because they're a neat solution. Golf courses. This one's got the 4-in-1 bucket, but you can, of course, take that off and run. In fact, you can get skid steer hitch, so you could run anything like a skid steer like this, or you can run bigger attachments for the 3CX Compact itself. So, yeah, cool machine, and nice to see one represented here. One day maybe they'll resurrect the 2CX name, but I understand why it went that way. But yeah, not driven a 3CX Compact really. Again, only really highways work, but I did consider one of these for my business because there's a lot to like about it. But ultimately, I needed the capacity that the bigger machines can offer, really, because my 3-tonner is good. It does all the work I need. So that's why I went with the full size. So then we come to the last of the models, the most current models, the Platinum 70-year celebration machine, which is Chris Well's lovely example, and yeah, he's looked after that. And then we've got literally the very latest, just off the production line, 2025 Groundworker Pro, full spec. There's plenty to talk about in this machine because I will be driving it, so stay tuned for that. They're all rolling out. We've got a parade to do of all the models through the years. This is pretty special. There's engineers here from the factory. The backhoe line is being temporarily paused while they come out and see what the history is. They're all part of it. There are people here, families that have worked here for generations, and to see all of these machines through the years is pretty cool. Here goes Georgina in that lovely grey cab. That is a beautiful machine. Love to own one of them one day. Maybe. It's Jake Nichols and his Union Jack machine, the 1CX. And of course I can drive this now with the forward and reverse lever, which I'm not that used to, or I can use my standard lever over here. I think we'll go with the forward and reverse switch, shall we, on the joysticks? Why not? Goes Chris, he's got to get himself out around me. We're in 4-wheel steer, this all looks good. Here she goes. God, I would love to drive one of these one day. Own one, rather. Driving it's one thing. Yeah, it's tight out of here, actually. Tighter than it looks. And I don't want to be A, scratching the paint on the front bucket, and secondly, taking out JCB's street furniture. So we've all got headphones in, so we can be communicated to as well. So apologies if I end up talking a little bit randomly, but it's weird when you've got someone else in your ear talking. Right, we'll see. We'll come back when we've got the event in and we're actually starting, because I think we're going to line up now and then get ready for it. So we're about to do the parade. The first few machines are rolling through. They're just getting to the 3C Mark II at the moment. He's about to go through the arch, and this is in front of the backhoe production line. The chairman, obviously Lord Bamford himself, is there, and this is an amazing display of the history of the backhoe and the different machines through the ages. And it's an absolute honour to be here, and there is a 10-year-old boy jumping up and down inside me here, really with excitement, because this is really cool. It's really special, and this is only the beginning. So got the parade, and then I believe there is a special machine being unveiled, which if I was a betting man, I'd say would be the millionth machine. But yeah, a little bit of nerves, but you know, should be pretty straightforward, and they talk you through in your head how to in your headset how to, you know, which driving faster or slower or whatever. There's a guy comparing and doing all the giving a little bit of information to the crowd. They're broadcasting this out live. Yeah, big day big day for JCB. The sun is shining. This machine is looking absolutely splendid, and yeah, I'm just, yeah, not speechless, but just need to take the moment in. Really, I'll bring it back when we're rolling through. Let's see what footage we can capture as we're rolling through the arch and in front of the crowd, because that's going to be pretty special, I think. Right, here we go. We are lining up. Just waved at a little boy who's watching with his mum, and I thought that would have been that would definitely have been me if we'd have lived closer to this factory. We'll hook second gear, shall we? So now it's just about giving these guys enough space to talk. They're being introduced as they drive through, and there's a massive crowd here. All the guys off the line. There's some people, members of the public. As I say, they're broadcasting this live as well. So it's a huge occasion, and I'm just coming up to the arch. Just want to slow it up a bit. Okay. Here we go. Through the arch. Here we go. Give it a wave.
This will be 73rd machine from JCB, and the machine's never been built for that. We have 2 left.
This is cool. This is really cool. Georgina's filming. She's got to the end. Right, I've got to find a place to park now. Well, what a day out this has been. It's really been an honour to be invited by JCB to come and not only be here for this memorable occasion, but to actually take part in the parade was, yeah, something really special, something I'll certainly remember for the rest of my life. It sounds dramatic, but honestly, it's really cool. When you're someone who loves these machines like I do, it's it's really cool to be even a small part of these things. So yeah, and to see all these classic machines, you know, the history really of the machine that has largely built a lot of the modern developing world. I know the 360 excavator obviously now has a huge part to play, but you know, these early backhoes were fundamental in putting in a lot of what you and I use as infrastructure to this day. And the guys, and mostly men, but some girls who used to operate and work alongside these things, to them it was a big deal having a machine on site, because before that you only had a shovel. So you know, whatever you think of JCB now or even previous, you've got to admit that they are a huge force for the good of really not just this country but the world over, in terms of you know, mechanizing construction. It's been a real game changer, and I'm excited to see where they go in the future. I think you know, I'm a customer, I'm an interested party, I guess, maybe a fanboy, but you know, you look at the milestones this company has achieved. I wrote down a few because I kind of had an inkling before I came here what this day might have been, and honestly they didn't tell me. But it's interesting to note these previous milestones, and today is another one. In 1986, so that was when that black cab was around, that was the model back then, they celebrated 100,000 backhoes, and that probably was mostly UK produced back then. I don't think they made them anywhere else at that point. You know, it's UK production, it is impressive. 1996, so that's 10 years later, they do 200,000. And then really it starts to go stratospheric in terms of figures. 2004, they did 500,000. So we're in 2025 now, aren't we? So it's nearly 20 years ago, really, because we're in January 25. So it's taken them 20 years to do the next 500,000. And that's now a global production. We're talking about machines made in India, some made in Brazil, and of course still famously made here in Uttoxeter in the UK. So it's an impressive achievement. Engines wise, the first diesel max engine, which would be this machine here, the 444 engine as it was launched, and there's a few out there now, different varieties, do 3 litre, and of course they're in more machines now than they used to be. They're in all the Lodals, they're in the dumpers, so it's natural that engine sales will have gone up, and they do sell those engines to other people as well. But that was when they started making them, 2004, and they've now done 1 million of those, so that's an impressive achievement as well. And it's cool that they've put the 1,000,000th engine in the 1,000,000th backhoe. I think it's very symbolic, isn't it? Did they come quite off the production line together? No, but they're not far apart, and I think that's a real achievement. And as I say, JCB should be congratulated really on being the UK success story that they are, and globally, because this isn't just about production here in the UK. This is a global story now, and will continue to be as they grow and develop further, no doubt. It was 2020 that they did 750,000 backhoes, so 250,000 backhoes in the world have been produced in really largely 4 years, let's face it. I know we're in 2025 now, but that is an impressive figure, and I'm excited to see where this firm goes next. I've loved the innovation as an owner-operator, someone who buys this kit with my own good money. You know, what they've done recently to the backhoe range has been game-changing, and one day, hopefully not long, but I will own dual drive. I think that's an absolute game changer in terms of the backhoe product. You know, you think where it's come from here. And there's a lot of features on this that you still get on a modern machine. I didn't point it out earlier, but there is the bucket leveling here. You know, that system still on the modern machine. Okay, it's automated and we've got return to grade and these things, but there it is, 1960, it's there. A lot of DNA that's come from these historic machines, and yeah, where they go in the future, I think the only way is up for JCB. They make 300 products. It's a huge range of equipment. Make their own axles, make their own engines, and gearboxes. Not many manufacturers do all of that across such a broad range. So yeah, very impressive. Maybe this is the future. Hydrogen. I think there's a long way to come in infrastructure. It's a huge topic. I'd love to get more into hydrogen one day. I've done a bit of research on it myself. It's a really interesting place. And the way JCB are going about it is really interesting. They're telling us the future. I don't know what our options really are. I don't think you're going to fit a battery in it. So, you know, it's great that they're looking forward to that. They're already preemptively trying to get there. Is it there quite yet? Arguably not. But the product is, there's no doubt the product, there it is. It's standing right here. So the backhoe of the future, what I'm interested in is how it's being run, how it's being used, how it can earn us more money as contractors ultimately, right? So yeah, be really cool to see where they go with this for the next 1 million, because I dare say there will be another 1 million, and it'd be interesting to see just how quickly that appears, won't it? Because they seem to almost double production every 10 years. Mad really. Anyway, brilliant day. I really thank the people at JCB for ringing me up one day last week when I'm in the rain lugging concrete blocks around and inviting me to the day, and the sun has come out. It's been absolutely beautiful here. Yeah, I've had a really good day. So hope you've enjoyed the video. I've tried to cover what I've seen. There's been some awesome machines on display. Yeah, lovely day. Anyway, I'll be back on site soon with something better. Well, not better. I'll be back on site soon with something to film of my own machines. But for now, enjoy the lineup because it's been great. Anyway, catch you later.